Hello and welcome to another edition of Muga. Myself, Gaz, hosting today. I'm joined by Disu. Disu, how are you, bro? Good
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, bro?
stuff, man. I'm good. Good to have you on the pod. And we're also joined by Sebi. Sebi, what's going on, bruv?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
You don't sound too good, bruv. You got United doing well at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Man. I'm just tired, bro. I'm tired. Like, obviously, United is positive. They're going well, but
Life,
yeah,
innit?
bro. I'm
Life,
tired.
life.
Yeah.
I totally hear you on that, bro. All right, cool. Let's get into the game straight away. United obviously faced Crystal Palace on Saturday at Old Trafford. Um, Sebi, before we get into the actual game itself, just talk to me about your thoughts on your sort of United starting lineup. Were there any surprises for you, or was it pretty much as expected?
Yeah, I think it was pretty much as expected. Actually, well, yeah, it was and it wasn't because initially I'd thought, Martial would be playing and maybe would get some continuity. So
We'll
when
get
I
into
see the
that.
reports that yeah he had traveled with the squad, I was like, oh, okay,
Here
cool.
we go.
So then when I do see the lineup, I'm like, all right, cool, fair enough. Like this is maybe could be potentially like the next best thing. I'm not too sure. I know like Workhouse like has a role and he's doing whatever he's doing, but yeah, I'm kind of not too sure on him currently as it stands. But yeah, man, it was pretty much other than like the striker situation, it was pretty much as expected.
Yeah, definitely. Just you just want to get your thoughts on maybe the news about obviously Martial not being fit for the game. Was you expecting him to start? I think a few of us would have been expecting that. So,
Yeah, I was expecting him to be definitely in the mix.
mm,
Him and Sancho, to be fair. So when I can't lie, when I saw he was in the squad, I was rattled, bro. I was rattled, bro. I said, "This is fucking no blood. You can't keep getting away with this." That's what I was thinking in my head, man. Jesus Christ.
definitely.
Oh, it's just frustrating, man. Frustrating. But yeah, that was the main shots for in the lineup. I thought maybe Marshall and Sancho will be in the mix again.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just go through the starting lineup quickly for the listeners. So we had David De Gea in goal at right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Two centre backs were Varane and Lisandro Martinez. Left back Luke Shaw, double pivot of Casemiro and Fred. On the right, we had Anthony, Bruno Fernandes in the 10, Marcus Rashford on the left, and Wout Weghorst up top. Um, and Crystal Palace's lineup was. Do we actually care about Palace? Yes, we do. Palace's lineup, they had Gaito in goal, Nathaniel Klein at right back, Richards and Guy at centre back, Tyreek Mitchell left back, Decore and Hughes as the double pivot as well. So they seem to mirror our formation. Jordan Ayew on the right, Michael Elise in the 10, Jeffrey Schlupp back wide, and Edward up top. Um, United started off quite well, to be fair, in the game. Dishy, what did you think about United start? United got a penalty quite early on. Do you think that was a fair decision from the referee?
I definitely told you before the thing. I didn't watch the game, guys.
Okay, cool. We'll move swiftly on. You can talk more about your thoughts on the penalty.
Guys trying to.
Like I said,
Yeah,
yeah, I know, terrible. So sorry. Debbie, talk to me.
Yeah, man, it was 100% a pen. I think the refs have been trying to play against us, and obviously we'll go into another decision like later on. So it was about time we actually got a pen. I think that might have been like our second or third pen of the season, if I'm
That
not
many.
mistaken.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's fucking trash, man. Do you know what I mean? Especially when you think about like some of the things that the ref has done, like the refs given like for the opposition or haven't given to us. So yeah, it was about time, and yeah, man, it was cool. I was a bit disappointed that Bruno took the pen, but
Okay, talk to me about that.
yeah,
What's your thoughts on that one?
I don't know. I just I think currently
Rash.
yeah. Obviously, he's our main goal scorer in it. So these are the opportunity. This is the opportunity where you can get to stat pad. You have to just basically take every opportunity you have to score. And I'm not looking at Bruno as like a goal scorer anymore. I like kind of like the role he's in. I kind of like all the off the ball stuff that he's doing. So I don't really think there was a need for him to take the penalty. But again, happy that we go 1-0 up and it's a go anyway.
Cool. This is what I can ask you about is your thoughts on Bruno as a whole this season. I know in previous seasons you've been a big detractor of Bruno, as have many people for his carelessness on the ball. how wasteful he can be with the ball at times. So, what are your thoughts on Bruno this season, and what is the difference between this season and maybe previous?
Yeah, I can't lie. I've been quite surprised with Bruno's level of performance this season. Not to say that it's been elite or anything, but it's definitely been a marked improvement. Like, and I'm seeing in certain games he's actually influential for large parts of the game, not just popping up with just like with odd moments of quality, kind of sandwiched between like 10 to 15 moments of absolute trash. Do you see what I'm saying? So like he's playing more like a midfielder. Like now, for example, there's amount of times that I've seen and it's like, and I think the main difference is accountability. That's what I would guess. Obviously, I don't know. I'm not addressing him, but I'll think accountability with Ten Hag, who's not really. I think there's like a level of expectation of what to do on the football pitch, and you can see that Ten Hag is not really taking any nonsense. If he could come in and quaff Ronaldo and Maguire, anybody can get it. So like, there's times I see Bruno about to Bruno, and that's like he's got the ball maybe wide left, 50 yards from goal. He's looked up and he's seen like maybe, I don't know, maybe like Anthony, who's like in between the left back and the centre back, and he's thinking of playing a stupid ball which will lead to Anthony challenging with a centre back. But then he'll go to kick it, then he'll just do a little fake and pass it and move. And I'm seeing just a bit more variety in his play. He's using his ability to, because people are scared of him shooting and crossing, he's using that fake to be able to like fake the cross, fake the shot, and create something else. He's working hard. He's not chasing recklessly in terms of pressing, leaving gaps and leaving our midfield maybe 3v2. And I think he's all round level performance and influence has improved quite significantly. And I definitely did not see this coming. So I actually respect him a lot for that. Like, honestly, like I respect a lot for that, because he could have continued to do the volume shooter thing that he's been doing, because he's brought him fruits, he's brought him respect, he's received accolades, goals, and assists, but he's actually playing for the team, and that shows to me that he's a team player, and that kind of shows that maybe the issue was actually Ollie. Is just like, just go out there, enjoy yourself, lads, eh? And maybe that was the real issue rather than Bruno just being a bonehead.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Sebi, I'll get your perspective on this one. Would you put this on Bruno being open to learning, and Ten Hag obviously being someone that's applied a structure for the team as well as Bruno? Or what are your thoughts on Bruno's performances, and why do you think he's maybe changed from where he was last season?
I think Bruno is an interesting one, because one thing I like about him, and he has, so one thing I like about him is that he lacks arrogance, and I mean like arrogance in the traditional sense, because when I see him play for his national team and I see the variety of positions he's played in, means that he's happy to do a job for the team. And then in a sense where I think he does have arrogance in his playing style, where maybe not, yeah, maybe like he has the audacity where sometimes he just takes a shot where he shouldn't shoot. He believes he can score from anywhere, and I think that's like the good and bad of him. But I do think he's open to learn, because again, as I said, like as I've seen for his national team, I've seen him have decent games in positions in like non-central position, maybe whether it's out right or like I can see, I've seen him be more conservative, especially like even before the World Cup. But if we go into the World Cup, he was way more conservative, and he was actually one of the best players for Portugal, in my opinion. So, and he played like a proper midfielder, the type of midfielder that we've actually been looking for, somebody that can work off the ball but also contribute in regards to creating valuable chances. And these are not the spamming chances and just crossing it and just hoping for anything. These are actually, well, sometimes anyway, it's actually like real quality chances. I do feel like he still lacks a bit inconsistency on his like last ball in the final third. But
100%.
I am happy that he's kind of taken a step back and he's doing more work for the team, which in my opinion just makes us much better. And I think also, if we go on to like last season, maybe the reason why I think he was like extremely poor, because he was just doing anything, and I think that was the instruction: just go out and have fun and just go out and do anything. And I think it was Ralph. Ralph is a donut, but he's good at analyzing certain things, right? And he said, so he said Pogba and Bruno, like their hero mode is two different things. So when we're in trouble, Pogba drops deeper and he's not in the game because he's dropping deeper to try and make things happen. And when we're in trouble, Bruno actually doesn't want to get in the ball. He actually leaves his position and he kind of floats like forward because he wants to be on the final cross or he wants to score a goal. And we're seeing that not happen this season because regardless if we're in trouble, if we're not, like the formation and the positions, everyone's position has to stay the same. Bruno used to fucking do my head in when he used to float out to the left and just chill there, like because we're 1-0 down or 2-0 down or whatever. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing him play like a proper midfielder. And if we're 1-0 down, he's still going to maintain his position. And he knows if he doesn't, he's not going to be playing or he's going to get blasted or he's going to get taken off. So yeah, man, I think he's definitely been willing to listen, and I've been impressed with the off the ball movement and the positioning more than anything.
Yeah, definitely agree with both your takes on that one. As the game went on, United seemed to try to continue their dominance of the game. I think Wout Weghorst had a great opportunity with a header, which was saved by the keeper. This is just on a general basis. I know you haven't been necessarily too impressed with Weghorst. He's a means to an end, as we all know. Just talk to me about what you think of him so far, what he brings, and maybe what he definitely doesn't bring.
Yeah, I like to caveat this with like when I assess players for Manchester United, it's on the basis of the level Manchester United at as a club, and like Weghorst is not a bad player at all. He's not rubbish whatsoever. I actually think he's got very very good technique for like a big man target man S type striker. I think like so certain clubs where we say more on the mid level, lower level in the Premier League, he'll be a very good player for what they require. But I feel like when you're a club like Manchester United and you're playing in that position as a number 9, you have to be threatening in terms of scoring goals. And if you're not, I'm just not going to be a fan. That's just my take on the game. What he does offer Manchester United is that he can make the ball stick, and he's got like he can do 1 touch, 2 touch. Like he's quite technical. Obviously, he's decent in the air. But what I've seen, he's not for his height. He's not as dominant as you like. Like we saw in the Arsenal game, Saliba and Gabriel beat him up, and that wasn't. I wasn't really happy. I wasn't really happy with that. But obviously, I played like that. If that's what his game, that's what his game. You can't get mad for a man. That's not part of his game. You know what I'm saying? You got to play to his strength. But I think he's done okay. He's nicked a goal, which is more than I thought he would do at this period of time. And I feel like you can't be too expectant of Weghorst because, like, what do you expect to get?
He's a backup, isn't he?
Alone in January. Like, bro, you're just well, Chelsea got Felix, but but like, yeah, you don't usually get them opportunities. You know what I mean, of a quality player. So I think he's done okay. I think he's done okay. What do you think? I'll personally probably rather play Rash 9 and Garnacho left because I feel like United are just more dangerous in that manner. Until I'm not gonna talk about that guy. But yeah, yeah. But yeah, what you gonna say, bro?
I was actually gonna ask you about that guy. What does that guy bring when he does get on the pitch on a general basis?
So he could bring what Weghorst does in terms of making the ball stick on the deck, but you can see the technical level and speed is a lot higher. I saw like a little snippet of that in the midweek game in the against not Forest at home in the Carabao Cup, and just the ability to get the ball turned, pop. It's just a lot more tighter, quicker, and technical. And then you see like the link up with Rashford and Sancho and Bruno, what it can be when you have those players there. So obviously, but you expect that Martial is a faster, more agile, more talented player. So yeah, that's what he can bring. And obviously, usually, historically, when he does get a chance, Martial is one of the best finishers. If you look at like all the attackers in the big 6 of right now and yesteryear, he's one of the highest in terms of percentage of big chances converted. So he's got that finishing. But the issue is, and I'm sure like Seb could speak to this more as somebody who's used to play as a striker at a pretty good level, the movement and the hunger for goals just isn't there. It's too much you touch, I touch. You see what I'm saying? Like getting a mixer, and we're seeing it from Rashford because Rashford scored like the same goal like 3 or 4 times a season. Another goal from what Luke Shaw, the ball Luke Shaw played across to Rashford in this game. He scored that same goal against City, I believe. When Garnacho played the ball, like we don't really see our strikers, Workhorse or Marshall in that position. And I feel like for us to score goals and improve on our +8 goal difference, we need our number 9 to be in those positions to score them type of goals.
Yeah, most definitely. Sebi, anything you wanted to add on that before we move on from sort of the Weghorst Martial conversation?
No, man. I think this is pretty much touched on everything, and yeah, man. I think it's just for me. I don't critique players when I know their level, and that's like I know But the thing is, I hear this because this is like, oh, this is Man United, bro. This is not the level. But for me, when I see it's not the level, I just don't say nothing because it's just nothing I can do because I know. I know,
It's
you're
true.
here, innit? I literally don't mention players that are not at the level, bro. But when I get onto players that I believe are at the level, and there's just like something's going wrong, that's when you always see me have an agenda against like a player.
Right.
Do you know what, Seb? That makes so much sense. I actually get that because that's why you get to Martial because you know that he can be better, but he's just
Exactly.
way below. But do you know what it is? It's man like Fred and that they
Yeah,
just
I just
grind my
ignore
gears.
them.
No, but they just grind my gears, bro. They just grind my gears, man. Especially
Nah,
Fred
them are frustrating.
because he's
The
bare
thing
hacky as
is,
well, bro.
yeah, and the thing is with Fred is interesting because Fred can give you 1 in 5 great games. Like he's got that in the locker.
Yeah,
That's actually true.
Yeah, he's got one all-time classic in the locker. So
I think there's specific games which cater to him perfectly. And
I
let's just
can't like.
go on.
Yeah, I've seen Fred like go against good midfielders and actually rise it. But the problem is on a random, do you know what I mean, midweek game at home to Villa, he'll just start moving mad. It's just crazy. But yeah.
I think
even
when you're more likely to dominate the ball, he's less of a use to you. When you're maybe facing a team and you're going to sit in a lower block because they're better than us for whatever reason, whether it's possession, positional, they look after the ball better, they attack better. That's when I think Fred's a bit more useful when he's having to either mark players or sort of mark spaces rather than having to be dominant on the ball and break that line with the pass and find the 60-yarder. That's not his game. So, but yeah, that's
like the last Barcelona game, he dropped a Blasic, an all-time Blasic when we played
Oh yeah,
Barcelona
home.
last.
Yeah. No, he'll
So
move mad.
To be fair,
He's got run-
Fred came in for Ericsson. So what were your thoughts on him coming in? I know obviously you're not again, maybe I'm misquoting you, but I don't think you're the biggest fan of Ericsson. So maybe you can speak.
Yeah. Fred for Ericsson. Upgrade alert. Nah, sorry. I can't stand Ericsson's game. I can't stand it, man. The thing is, he used to trick me before.
No,
Yeah, he used to trick me when he was number 10, yeah. And then when certain touchdown fracas man loaded agendas on him, I looked closer, I was like, damn, man, all right. Like he's too passive in games. Although he historically he does have that, his left and right foot is cold, so he can put that pass across. But like my issue with Ericsson is right now the teams that he's played in the pivot with Casemiro. Like in terms of duels, he's open Wi-Fi. There's no point in him being there. He's useless. So you're not. But so to offset that to a certain degree, you have to be giving us something of high value on the ball, and he's not. So like now we're seeing. I know this is not about rival fans, but we see rival fans dunk on Casemiro for losing the ball. But the thing is, Casemiro shouldn't be in the position to be initiating play like that. Although he's got a pretty decent pass when he picks his moments, he can underhit pass, overhit it, or mishit it, or whatnot. Ericsson is literally in the team to be that first phase player, and he's not good at it. Like his pass accuracy is not there. Like, I don't think he's put up decent. He's put a very good assist number so far, but his impact in games to me is non-existent. So I would actually rather Fred because Fred is actually going to do more of a midfield role in that position, be more combative, get about the pitch. And I'm not that type of person to pick the less technical player over the hard worker. But Ericsson doesn't even give us much technically anyway.
Okay.
Like, nah, like when I'm looking at a midfield of you, when Bruno's in the midfield and I'm looking at you more sideways than Bruno, you know what I'm saying? So now we've got my man from Austria, Ralph's nephew, Sabitzer. You know what I'm saying? It might be up for it might be up for us, Steve.
From what I'm hearing, it is a slight upgrade for us from Sabitzer to Ericsson, and we maybe get into Sabitzer a bit later. I just think with Ericsson, I think against lesser teams, his dominance is ever so slightly more evident, and obviously his final pass and his set pieces are, I guess, what he's brought to United so far, his deliveries and his ability to cross or pass the ball. But I agree with you in terms of dominating a game. In a sense, he doesn't have that sort of Carrick-esque presence on the ball. But it's not who he is. He's a 10 essentially playing as a DM. So maybe we're asking too much from Ericsson. Just moving on then, I want to talk to you guys about Rashford. He had a great chance in the first half. I think it wasn't necessarily a great chance. It was a chance he made for himself through his great movement from sort of the left to the right. And it's a movement that we haven't always seen him do, but it seems like he's obviously found a new level and a new gear this season. So, just talk to me about your thoughts on Rashford, and if you remember that specific chance. I was so impressed with it because it was, as soon as the ball came through and he made the run, it was sort of an instinctive right foot shot. And
I saw that, man. That was yeah, bro. Like, I think that's one thing. I think so. I'm in like various Man United chats, and I argue about like movement, right? And people think movement is basic, and it's just like something that you can just do. But like the type of movement is what separates like great attackers and just average attackers. Like, just to quickly go off topic and come back off topic, is yesterday I was listening to a podcast and Ryan Brewster was on a podcast, and they asked him who's like the toughest player he played against, and the first player he mentioned was Harvey Barnes. He also mentioned Martial, but he mentioned Harvey Barnes specifically because of his movement. Right, movement can like literally create a whole career. For example, Cavani made a whole career out of having elite movement. For me, he wasn't the best finisher, but he created so many chances for himself because his movement was just insane. For me, probably one of the best ever, right, at creating those type of chances, man. And yeah, just to see Rashford obviously have that in his locker, I think that was really, really good. He did create like that chance for himself, and you know, he's just for me just a bit unlucky with that. But yeah, man,
Do you think he was unlucky with that? Is that the one when he came in on his right foot and then he whipped it and it went over? I don't know. I feel like
we're talking about the chart. There was a chance before that, so I think there was a couple times where he did cut in on the right foot, sort of. I think there was the one where he tried to whip it top corner, went over. I thought he did well.
That one.
But there's one.
Okay. I was about that one.
Yeah.
I was about that one.
Yeah.
Because that one, I was thinking, like, I thought like he could have used, because he's improved on. I'm not sure if he's improved it. I think he just started to use that side foot finish. We've seen him just side foot into the far corner. I just feel like somebody now as Rashford. Now Rashford is so explosive and he can go left and right. He's great in shooting angles in the box with so much ease now. I just feel like now he doesn't even have to go for that. He's with his historic
knuckle.
Yeah, he doesn't have to, because like if you just hit the corners with a young side foot and he's just finishing keepers, bro, because he cuts inside so quickly.
I also think, yeah, like I give like strikers grace, especially like at that top level, is like sometimes you got to feel your way into the game. Like, and one the mark of like a top player is missing a couple of chances, getting a couple of good chances, but if you keep going, eventually you'll find the net, right? And that's like at that level, at like, you know, and that's what I expect, man. I expect that, because when we look at there's a very like and it's only Man United fans, actually. Sorry, I say that because obviously I follow mostly Man United fans, so you know, if there are other fans that do this as well, but from my experience, especially over the last 5 years, the frustration at like Rashford specifically, maybe Lukaku, maybe a bit. I don't think Martial got it or whatever, but they'd miss chances or they'd miss easy chances, but they'd get 2 chances in a game. 2 chances in a game is not normal. Like, and we started to normalize that, the fact they only got 2 chances and missed 2 chances, right? Now, in this current squad, we're starting to create way more chances. And that's why, for me, I'm like, yeah, man, it's cool, because it's cool to, of course, it's never cool to miss a chance. But what it kind of shows is that the top players in the other clubs were missing chances, but they were able to get their stats up because their team created their team kept on creating chances. And now we're at a level where we're becoming better. And instead of those 2 chances that we only got for the whole 90 minutes before, we're creating several chances, and our top players potentially are missing chances, but they're able to eventually find the net. And that's what we saw the other day.
I think good examples of that, and I'm not sure on the specific stats, but someone like Raheem Sterling isn't necessarily the most
Facts.
forward.
Yeah, 100%.
But he
It was
got
also,
last up at City where
Even Mo Salah when he was slapping, like like Mo Salah when he was
when he was
slapping,
like that.
like missed bare chances. But again, Liverpool were just so relentless that he'd
Yeah.
always get the ball, always get more chances, and he was able to bag bare goals, man. And that's the nature of the game, bro. You see sometimes where like you'll see a clip from France, or you'll watch PSG and you see Mbappe, bro. Like prior to maybe like the last couple of years, people just thought this guy just slapped every chance. In my head, I was like, do we guys watch matches, or well, the guy was not slapping every chance? And now people see that at sometimes he can be wasteful, but because of the quality, right, he's able to eventually get those goals. He's also excels in other things. And I think, yeah, man, that's just like the next stage for Man United is to keep creating chances for our attackers, and yeah, man, just be relentless.
Definitely. Let's go into the second half then, so we can get into the second goal, which I was just, I think it's a symbol of the work that Erik ten Hag has done with the team. I know there are people who necessarily aren't still so sure what he's brought. There are a few people I've seen it here and there, but I think that second goal we scored, where there was so much patience with the ball and they worked the ball from side to side, it was nice and quick passes as well for the goal. Sebi, just talk me through your thoughts on that second goal, and obviously Rashford's involvement in terms of just being there in the box.
Yeah, I think he takes workhorse off, and of course, no striker wants to come off around 60 minutes, and you can see he was clearly disappointed. But yeah, man, when we go into that goal, it kind of like starts from the back, and you can see different things, right? You can see I remember when we were linked with Ten Hag, and I saw like when people would break down his patterns of play, like you can see that like at the back he goes to a 3 at the back, then you see like Wan-Bissaka's role entering the midfield and having like entering the midfield centrally, so underlapping as well, and being able to combine. You see Casemiro's like quick passing, and then you see just like the interchange, like you're able to attack with more players. You're not predictable, and it's those short, sharp movements that are able to move defenses around. And sometimes as a striker, like the best movement is no movement. So as a team, as Crystal Palace are being moved around, and the first option, because it actually goes to Anthony, and I thought it was going to shoot. That gets that closes off. He uses his brain, passes back to Garnacho, Shaw straight into Shaw, and Shaw first time. Rashford doesn't even need to move because the team's been pulled around, and first time finish, man. And I think it was a really, really good goal, and a good display of like how Ten Hag wants his attacking patterns, where he wants certain players to be. Because there's another clip, and I think what was our last game before Palace?
Forest.
So the Forest game, one of the goals, if you see Wan-Bissaka, so Wan-Bissaka still is not automated, but if you see I can't remember what goal it is, yeah, but we have the 3 at the back, and Wan-Bissaka remembers, oh shit, I need to unlap, and he makes a jog into the middle, and like we score like a similar type of goal, or we create a chance, I can't remember, but you're starting to see like players understand where they need to be if we're attacking, and I really, really like that. With like previous managers, all it is are fullbacks overlapping. It's not every day. And even if you look at like Wan-Bissaka, like maybe like it makes him less predictable, because of course, like he's always been a good defender, but when it comes to attacking, I feel like for me he hasn't been good. But since we've been back from the World Cup, I feel like he showed good variation. He's linked up well. Of course, he hasn't got the greatest like final pass, and he isn't technically the cleanest, but him being in certain areas makes him less predictable, and it's more of an asset for the team. So yeah, man, it was really, really good to see. You're on mute. Guys, you're on mute.
There we go. My bad, boys. And obviously after the game, Eric Ten Hag sort of spoke about Garnacho's involvement for that goal. And he said Garnacho and Rashford gave us a totally different dynamic. Rashford's goal was the perfect team goal for me, ended with the cross by Luke Shaw. And it just goes to show, obviously, Garnacho, you're always going to be needed to come on. Obviously, he ended up getting substituted in the game, but he still showed his how valuable he was to the team with the last pass to Shaw before the cross. So it also shows, I don't know if you guys have noticed it with him, but he's still quite raw. I don't know if you guys have noticed it yourselves.
Well, Garnacho.
Yeah, he still seems very raw, but I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like he's learning
yeah,
and he's learning quite
yeah.
quick.
100%. But I like that though. I like that he's just like I'm just dribbling past you, even though like I don't really have space to get to the byline here. But that level of aggression I like because the fullback can't rest. Do you know what I'm saying? And like the fullback, even when the opposition team is like in possession going up the pitch, the fullback still has to worry about Garnacho. Do you know what I mean? Garnacho attracts double teams, which obviously opens things up for other players. So I really, really do like that because really and truly, Rashford is the only other person in the team currently that can actually go beyond his marker. And it's very, very difficult to beat teams that operate in low blocks if you do not have players that can take people out the game.
100%.
You have to be so precise with your passing, so good with your pressing to retain. Like we even saw like some of the best teams ever, like the Spanish teams. They was actually scoring bare goals, and they literally had the best possession players ever. So to actually create goal scoring opportunities, you need people who can do stuff off script and disorganized defenses. And we don't exactly have the possession players quite just yet. Hopefully that will be loading in the next window. But yeah, Garnacho definitely gives us something that our other wide players, one from Brazil, don't really give us at this moment in time.
Oh man, yeah. what I was saying as well though is just that before we move on, I am impressed with that. He seems like ever so slightly. He's also learning. He's slowly finding the balance between yes, I'm aggressive. Yes, I'm an ISO player. I'm gonna take you on 1v1. I believe in myself, but he's also showing that cleverness to retain the ball at times. And obviously, that final pass to Shaw was I think, a good example of that. But moving onto the big topic of the game, I guess, was Casemiro's red card. Sebi, I'm gonna head over to you with your thoughts on this. Do you think the red card was deserved? And also, I guess, a conversation around the team spirit and the atmosphere around United players this season, where they're now fighting for each other and they're now showing that they actually care for the team as well as each other. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's like 50-50. Of course, he put his hand around Will Hughes's neck. But dangerous play, like I'm not too sure because it's they laugh about it, and maybe with that context, it kind of takes it out the dangerous realm. If Will Hughes had gone down, then that's like like if Will Hughes is not laughing, they've gone down. It's like that's a situation in itself. Then I guess there's no way that's not a red. But looking at it now, looking at the added context, then I'm not too sure. I don't know if it's worth appealing because I know there are some rules where sometimes you could get like an extra game if you appeal and it goes wrong. But and then also on top of that, it's like I know like listen, we know our team, we know we know that we lack in midfield, but it's going to be a good test to see where we're at without Casemiro against Leeds and Leicester. It's Leeds and Leicester. Like, if we need Casemiro for every game, so this is the bottom of the table, then that's a problem in itself. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then, although we do it, he cannot play every game. He's not going to play every game. So we'll basically have to deal with it. And this is also where we're going to have to see like Ten Hag's coaching, right? Ten Hag's coaching, he needs to figure out something, and he needs to figure out a way where we're able to leave those games with points and people don't finish, like we don't end those games and say, oh, look at, like, we didn't have Casemiro. That's whack. It's just one player. The team's playing well. We've got Sabitzer in who of course is not Casemiro, but he's a very good midfielder. Let's make something happen, man. Let's be creative. And to your other point in regards to the team spirit, I think the team spirit like is massive here, man. Like everybody like defends each other. Everyone's passionate about it, like each other. It's just a whole different vibe. It's chalk and cheese from last season, but even seasons before, because yeah, like United were always like passionate. But shall I tell you the last time? So the way how we celebrate goals now, and the way how we celebrate goals,
Everyone celebrates together.
everyone celebrates to go. Shall I tell you the last time I felt like this team really, really like celebrated together, and like a celebration for me meant something, was the 3-2 when we were 2-0 down against City, and we came back 3-2. That was the last time I saw this whole team like proper boosted, proper boosted together. And yeah, man, it's great to see, bro.
Definitely. Just some quotes from Ten Hag on that. After the game, he said, "This is a good team. They stick together and they're there for each other. You see that in the outcome. Casemiro did cross the line. You saw that. However, I'm unhappy with the inconsistent refereeing, not only in this game but also in the Palace. Also from Palace's perspective, they elbowed Martinez and last week with Ericsson. A lot of players crossed the line, including some Palace players. VR didn't interview with them either. So despite obviously admitting that Casemiro did cross the line, he was quite unhappy with the balancing act of the refereeing. And just to your point about the team ethic, I think Martinez is someone that kind of epitomizes that spirit and that camaraderie between each other. His stats were quite impressive as well: 92% passing accuracy, 77 touches in the game, 61 passes completed, 7 ball recoveries, which is very impressive. I don't know. Obviously, we were down to 10 men, so we were battling. Impressive all the same. 5 clearances, 3 aerial duels, 1, 2 out of 2 tackles, 1, and 2 ground duels, 1. I think Martinez has obviously been one of our best players this season. What have you made of Martinez as a whole this season? And did you have any concerns prior and have or were you always sort of open-minded on him coming in?
Obviously, like hearing you're getting a 5'3" centre back is a cause for concern somewhat, especially in the Barclays Premier League. But by all accounts, he's been performing at a high level, and it's not like defenders haven't been a bit undersized and performed at a high level before. So I was also just watching videos and listening and looking at stats. Like his on the ball stuff was something that I was really, really excited about, because I didn't really have much faith in our midfield. I don't have much faith in the midfield now, but like yeah, like it did give me a lot of hope. I was like, okay, cool, let's just see how it goes. And I thought the initial 2 games were extremely overstated, especially the Brentford one.
Brentford,
because they were like, oh yeah, like they targeted him. And then there was a video of somebody on Twitter, absolute legend, did every single aerial ball came Martinez's way. And then you had Tony said, oh, that was a really tough battle. That's one of my toughest battles. Like, I thought like it was a good battle. So that gave me a bit of confidence. And ever since then, he's been, I think, brilliant in terms of his reading of the game, him defending 1v1 in wide areas, blocks, aerially, he's done well. On the ball, he's so composed and excellent. And I think the partnership he's formed with Varane is probably
I think it's one of the best in the league, bro.
Yeah, outside of Rashford on his Superman thing is the most impressive thing about our team. And it's something that gives me a lot of like, because I haven't been confident in a back 2 since we had Smalling and Blind. And that doesn't even make sense.
Was that LVG's last season?
Yeah, that's like 2015, 16 season, 2014,
we 15. Liverpool and Tottenham, and
yeah. And that was like the last time I had confidence in our back 2. Our back 2s, in fact, our whole back 4 under Ollie, I just felt like at any time we lost the ball, I just felt that it was, and with DDG in goal, I just thought like a mad thing was going to happen any minute. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So like, but yeah, I think he's been excellent player. And I just love the fact that all the people that came out early who were dunking on him have obviously you get shots wrong in life. Everybody's got shots wrong, and some people more than others. And I think
in those shots. That's the difference. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I think with Carragher, I actually think for the most part, I actually think his shots are pretty good, and that might be unpopular. But I actually quite enjoy listening to Carragher talk about football, even though I don't always agree. Yeah, but I thought like it was the biggest load of confirmation bias, and I felt like it was, and his assessment wasn't really objective. It wasn't data driven. It was lazy, and then not only was his analysis, his process bad, but his conclusion was so ironclad of 2 games was mental to me. And I think that's what makes it extra bad. But yeah, man, I'm very, very pleased. I feel like the money we paid for him, I can't remember how much we paid for him, and that just
60
shows that. Yeah, and
60.
that just shows that when we forget how much you paid for a player, that's always a good sign. So yeah, Ten Hag, you did your thing with that one still.
You got one right. You got one right. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Sebi, I'm just going to backtrack to the game last Wednesday, I believe, at Old Trafford. Obviously, impressive win again, us through to the finals. We'll talk about the finals maybe in a second. I guess the big talking point of that game was the return of Jadon Sancho. He also ended up playing in the number 10 role. Before maybe I talk about Eric Ten Hag's perspective of Sancho playing in the 10, what are your thoughts on Sancho returning, maybe what he can bring to the team and the position that he ended up coming on in?
Yeah, man, I'm happy for him. I think, when I look at our options, I look at our attacking options, I look at potential and what we're linked with. I think that was literally the only position he could play, right? In my opinion, or
Okay.
his Man United career was pretty much done. Because if I look at the left, it looks like Garnacho, who hasn't put pen to paper yet, is going to be on the left, right? Because they need him to put pen to paper. They think he's the future. And I think he's got a very good chance. Rashford, no brainer. He's going to be on the left. Up top. Now, United are linked with a striker. Jadon Sancho can't play up top, so it is what it is. So there's going to be a striker coming in. And then on the right, unfortunately, when a manager buys a player and buys a player for the amount he purchased Anthony for, he's
Mhm.
going to get all the chances in the world to come good, because that's obviously an indictment on Ten Hag if he doesn't, if he doesn't come good at all. So Anthony's going to play on the right regardless, and Ahmad is doing wonderful things
Oh,
on
oh.
his loan, right? And he and Anthony, in my opinion, will play on the right. I know there's been talk of potentially Ahmad 10, and he's played in like a creative right role, and he's played 10 and he's drifted or whatever. But from like a basic perspective, those are our options. So then I look at Jadon Sancho, and not even to mention Pelestri, who Ten Hag seems to like and is great off the bench. He's quite impactful, he's quite direct, something different from what we already have. Actually, quite similar to Garnacho on the left hand side, who's also direct. So, with all of those options, player number 10 was literally the only option for Jadon Sancho. Unfortunately for him, because yeah, he's just unlucky, and he's obviously been underperforming as well. So when you speak in a chat and you're like, oh yeah, like everybody has these hypotheticals and everybody says, oh, maybe this player should play here and there or whatever, but generally you never see a manager actually implement it. So I was really happy to see that Ten Hag actually was thinking the same way as some of us in the chat and thinking he should play central. And I was really, really happy that he came back. He got the the reception that I think he deserved, because he's had a tough time. And you could see when he come on a pitch as well with Martial and Rashford, the tempo changed.
Oh, straight away,
He,
bro.
he
Yeah,
that yeah, it quickened up the game, and that's very, very dangerous, man. That's very dangerous to have um against any team, right? Being able to play, that type of football, being quick is just like amazing. And then also shifting Bruno to the right, who in my opinion was valuable there as well. I feel like with that, United have a very, very good attacking setup. And if I'm Jadon Sancho, what I'm trying to do is come in to games and impact games, bro. You have to one put numbers on the board, whether it's creation, whether it's assists, whether it's goals, and you have to impact them seriously. And that's how you're going to be valuable, and that's how you're going to continue to get more and more minutes. Because then eventually Ten Hag will be like, you know what, Bruno, you chill for this game.
you can have a rest.
Sancho, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sancho, you're starting this game. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So he needs to impact games, and he needs to he just needs to obviously grow in confidence, and that will come. But yeah, the numbers need to start to show, because yeah, like that's the only way he'll get starts.
Yeah. This is before maybe you share any thoughts you have on that. Eric Ten Hag was asked about Sancho in the 10 and Bruno at the right. And he said Bruno going wide gives us a different challenge, gives different challenges to defenses compared to Anthony. And he was also interested to see how Sancho would interact with Anthony Martial. Eric Ten Hag also said, Jadon Sancho, I know he can play as a 10 and as a winger. We can mix up often, and that's what I like. He said, I think Sancho's already shown he can be a game winner this season. For instance, the goal against Liverpool, the goal he scored against Leicester as well, and he had some good moments against Tottenham. And he said he was really happy to see, obviously, the reception that Sancho had. And obviously, Bruno also spoke about Sancho and said, we know the capacity that Sancho has. He hasn't expressed it at his best yet. He has had some good moments. Now he's back from a long period. We're really happy to have him back. So that clearly shows that he is valued at United, and hopefully he can show that why he is so valued. Dishu, any thoughts on Sancho before we move on to some listener questions?
Firstly, I like to be a fair guy. Bruno is a leader, you know. He's a psychopath.
yeah.
He's a leader, bro. Like he is what like they tried to make Harry Maguire. When I say they, I mean I don't mean Ten Hag, I don't mean us. You know what I'm talking about. Them man tried to make Maguire what Bruno is. You see what I'm saying? And I like that. I was happy to see the reception that Sancho got. It made me feel bad for my harsh critique of Sancho. And then you got to remember that something like these people are human beings. You don't even know what's going on in these people's lives. I remember when Jesse Lingard came on an interview and spoke about what he was going through with his family and stuff. And I was like,
intense, crazy. Yeah.
Bro, like, and we still expected these men to perform under high pressure environments at elite level. So yeah, that's definitely made me think about how I critique people, definitely. But I'm actually very interested to see how Sancho like readapts into the team. And I feel like he clearly has quality. He just did not show it at all. Like even little things last year, like little 5-yard passes in like short areas, you're passing it behind the player, or it's getting cut out, and you know that Sancho is definitely better than that.
Oh, that's one of the strengths of his game.
Exactly, and just the lack of assertiveness is just something I just can't really respect in terms of your game as an attacker, because it's on you to be the protagonist, right? And I just feel like, especially Sancho's playing a 10, all he has to do is just be aggressive. You don't have to just be aggressive dribbling. Because I still think Sancho could beat people if he tries. Like, he's got the feet to do so. You don't have to bump people down the line like bloody say Maximan or Zaha or Saka. But you, especially in tight areas, you can skip past the player, pass and move. And we do know that in the final third, Sancho generally has excellent decision making, excellent composure, excellent finishing. The issue is that he doesn't get in these positions enough. And we saw that as Ten Hag said, in the Liverpool game and the Leicester game. I can't remember. I think there might be a game in the Europa. I wish in Europa League. I think it was like a left foot finish away from home. I can't remember against the team. He's got that quality in the final third, like high level composure, finishing, accuracy.
Remember the dink he did when he sort of gave Mendy the shoulder and Mendy dived and then he dinked it. I think he scored a good goal in the Champions League last season as well. So he's shown the quality in front of goal is not to doubt. It's up to him to know, maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't even lie. I'm kind of hopeful, optimistic about Sancho, and yeah, hopefully Anthony could show some improvement. I'm a bit worried about Anthony, but having Sancho.
Speak on that one if you want to quickly.
Yeah, like, do you know what Anthony is like when he actually tries to beat players, he actually can beat players sometimes, especially when he's right at the byline and like halfway line. I see him skip past me. Is when he gets to the final third, when he cuts inside, the quality is almost always lacking. It's like the shots are really tame, the crosses are either really tame or floated nowhere. There's no like real whip. Like, see when you watch, like, I know this guy's got magic left foot, but when you see like Mahrez or Saka, or when they cut inside on the left foot, like the quality, the speed and trajectory of the ball is like, it's just dangerous. Whether it's going to be a shot, it's going to be a near miss, or it's going to be a dangerous cross. Anthony, too many hitting the first man, too many just bounce into the keeper's arms. Like, he needs to really, really up that level of quality. I like his ball retention in build-up, but he really does need to up that. And I feel like if we can get like a good tune out of Sancho, and I think that will drive Anthony to perform, because now we got Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Pellistri, Garnacho. Do you know what I mean? Like, now we've got players that are competing for positions who can be exciting on a day. We just need that level of consistency. I don't expect that from Pellistri and Garnacho, because they're still young boys. It's like the first real season getting in around the first team. But like Sancho and Anthony, they've played enough football in the Champions League, now in the Premier League, where I want to see some like consistent threats to the opposition goal.
Yeah, just before we move on, I do think Sancho has the skill set to really shine under Eric Ten Hag and in an Eric Ten Hag team. In terms of his ability to retain the ball, he has got the ability to take a man on, not necessarily take a man and then skin him, as you said, but the ability to maybe give him a little jink, move it on, take a play out of position, and obviously then we can sort of proceed in our attack. But moving on, maybe before we go into listeners' questions, we can briefly touch upon some news today that Manchester United are planning to sell Martial this summer, which isn't necessarily a big surprise as we look to find a new long-term striker. But you're also apparently planning to sell Harry Maguire and Alex Tellers. This is news from the Manchester Evening News, I believe. United have classified Martial as sellable before his latest injury setback last week. He did return in the game against Forest and scored, but then he withdrew from the squad for the Crystal Palace game 3 days later. Martial has missed 20 of United's 34 games this season, and he's been absent for a total of 16 weeks through 5 separate injury layoffs. He's under contract until 2024. United have the additional option for a year, but it looks like Martial's time is coming to an end. Any thoughts on that, gentlemen? And that's open to the room, really and truly. I won't pick anyone out for that, but maybe we can briefly give our thoughts on Martial, Tellers, and Maguire.
Adios.
Yeah. Even me, Martial FC isn't at this point. It's
yeah, man.
Yeah, you got to hold that, man. This isn't a youth club, bro. We're not trying to. We're not. Like, guys, got to chill, bro. This is like, man, this is Man United, bro. Yeah, this is Man United, man. Come on, man. You can't be missing that many games. I know you're talented or whatever, but yeah, man, you can't be missing that many games. And
man, treat this like rehab, bro. You're on 200 bags a week, brother.
250 bags, bro. And the thing is that what. That's the annoying thing. Like, who's gonna buy him? 250 bags a year, injury prone. Like, what suicide bomber will buy Martial? That doesn't make no sense to anybody. So we're gonna end up in a situation where the only way he can go is we subsidize his wages or we're just gonna have to release him. But
I don't think you think they'll do that though. I think his contract comes in end next season. Could you see him maybe if no one wants to buy him staying as like a?
Yeah, of course. I think I can see. Yeah, I see that. That's like worst case scenario where like nobody wants to buy him and he just stays. Yeah, but then even as a backup, bro, like it's not even a good backup because if you're missing the majority of the games, like what's the point?
I need someone that needs to play games to find rhythm, so it's kind of counterproductive.
Yeah, it's counterproductive, man. For me, it don't make no sense. And we're linked with 2 strikers, so Victor Osimhen and Harry Kane. We're linked with quite a few strikers.
Moving me, bro. I can't lie.
No, he's really, really good, but he's unlucky. He's not injury prone because the injuries he has are different injuries, like smashed cheekbone, this injury, but he's had bare injuries. And he's been out for a long time, but they're not all the same injury. So you've got an unlucky striker who, of course, like isn't injury prone, but that just seems to be his luck currently right now. You've got Harry Kane, who again, like he's 29, going to be 30 this year. Has had his problems with injuries or whatever. You cannot have Martial as a backup. It won't work. You end up with Rashford up top. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So yeah, let's the quicker we get rid, the better. And Tellers again, don't know why we bought him. To be fair, like I thought we was gonna get an upgrade on Luke Shaw. What we did get is we got Luke Shaw being good for about 3-4 months because Tellers was here, and then reverting back to type. But it seems like Luke Shaw's back into good form now. But yeah, Tellers it'll be great to sell him. Maguire has the ego of Ronaldinho and the talent of Gabriel Oberton. Like the guy really believes like he's top level. He really thinks he should be starting for Man United, which is dope. He thinks it's him. Do
you think so? Do you think he really?
Yeah, man. All the comments of all the things that his girlfriend reposts and all of the things that like his girlfriend reposts.
Propaganda.
Maguire is just the first player to start 1 million minutes. Like there's these random stats that nobody cares about.
But do you think that's just them just trying to spin because do you genuinely believe he thinks that like I'll outperform Varane and Alessandro?
all the reports suggest that he wants to start. That's like what I've
Oh,
heard.
of
And
course.
even
Oh,
if he had 10,
everybody wants to
but
start. But
if you had Ten Hag, yeah, Ten Hag speaks like he's had that conversation. Like Ten Hag says that he has to he has to work, get his place. Like he has to find his form. He needs to work to get into the starting lineup, and then like he also at a bare minimum, like because he's not even our third centre back. Like Luke Shaw, or Lindelof is
Yep.
our third starting centre back. So he's now fourth, fifth choice, and
Crazy.
like
God, dude.
yeah, boy, thank you. And there's no way he believes he should be there. So hopefully, again, like that's somebody in my opinion, I think we can get decent money for because like England captain and people have seen how he's played for England, and to be fair, he does pretty well for them. So hopefully
Eddie
the
Howe.
right club can come in. Hey, that'd be beautiful, man. Hopefully the right club can come in and purchase Maguire, and he can be their downfall.
Cool. Let's do some listeners' questions then, and maybe we can look forward to the Leeds game. Actually, let's do the Leeds game quickly first. Just quick ideas, maybe in terms of starting lineup. And obviously, Leeds have sacked Jesse Marsh today. So, do we get a new manager bounce? I don't know. But what are your thoughts on United? Obviously, Leeds this week, this Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah, I think we just have to go with the same team. Yeah, you just have to go with the same team and then rotate it for the second Leeds game. What I would do though, and it may be worth doing, is maybe trying Bruno on the right and Sancho in the middle at number 10. But again, I don't know. Obviously, Sabitzer has to come in for Casemiro. But other than that change, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Just any thoughts on that before we do listeners' questions?
Yeah. I was gonna say, start Sabitzer and play Sancho as well. It's probably like what I would
do with Bruno?
Um,
because he has been using him on the right quite often, maybe a substitute as a substitute option coming onto the right, and someone comes into the 10.
No, I'll probably play Bruno right. Let Anthony get it back and brother, man.
Clearly not a fan of Anthony. Let's get into some listeners' questions then. We've got Ricky DW, who has asked, what is a realistic goal for Sancho and his United career moving forward? I'll throw that to you, Disu.
A realistic goal is being one of the best players at United, contributing double-digit goals and assists and influential performances. That's a realistic goal. He's got the technical ability and the football intelligence. It's just about maybe him getting, I don't know, maybe him trying to up his PMP. I don't know, maybe Rashford needs to take him to Oregon. Take him to Oregon, and just getting that confidence back. Do you see what I'm saying? And I feel like maybe in this team, there's actually a more well-oiled machine performing well. I think it's like something crazy, like 10 home wins in a row or something like that. Like the confidence is flowing for the team, so maybe this is a better environment for him to perform. So I think that is a realistic goal for him to achieve, basically getting his spot back in the team and performing at a high level, trying to recreate what he was doing at Dortmund.
Sabi, anything on that?
No, and I think like just to echo what Disu said, I think should be trying to look for these double-digit goals and assists, and like getting you spot in the team and being hard to drop. I know obviously Bruno is probably always going to play, but being a possible rotation piece, or okay, we need Sancho for this particular game, and actually being able to, even if it's like start 25 games a season, bro, like starting 25 games a season is good, and it's a good career. Coming on for the rest, and especially if the team starts to win and build up that momentum. Yeah, I think that'd be good for Sancho.
I think it would be interesting as well, where Sancho and Bruno offer different things in that 10 role. Bruno's more likely to be a final pass option, and he's obviously got a great shot from certain distances, where Sancho is more likely to be able to play intricate 1-2s, bounce the ball, give and go, and sort of give the other opposition the little jinky kind of vibe. So I think it'd be good to have the variety in our attack, where some games we might need Bruno, and some games we might need Sancho. Some games we might need both. So that would be really cool to see going forward. Next question. I don't think I can ask that, actually. It's too early to ask about Sabitzer. Question for you, Sabi, then, from Slim Slim Popper. Anyway, weird at. I know he's been scoring, but has anyone noticed a slight dip in Rashford's performances? I've been thinking it's due to. Well, let me finish, and then obviously you guys can go off. The person said, "I've been thinking it's due to a lack of proper rest."
United fans are crazy, man. I don't know what they want, bro. I don't like. I genuinely don't know what Man United fans want, but I think they're addicted to pain, and I think that must be the only thing, bro. I think we're addicted to pain and we're addicted to sickness because, yeah, we're suffering from sickness because, bro, like, what type of question is that? Like, with what's going on in the streets, is that what you pull from your heart to ask us, bro? It's like that. It doesn't even make no fucking sense, man. Like, I think like there's not every single game you're not gonna play amazing. Like you're not gonna play amazing, but what you can do, especially with your top player, is take your moments. And more often than not, most players, especially in the world right now, are moments player. And being a moments player isn't bad. If you have more good moments than bad moments, you happen to be a good player.
Especially
I
if the
think
team
where
wants
it's
for that as well, innit? If the team has other players that are going to produce more often than not, moments isn't necessarily a bad thing, or they're going to facilitate enough moments for that player. Can I say?
But that's what, even when we're talking from attacking sense, that's generally what you need. You need, when your attacker gets the ball, to create a moment, to create a special moment, whether that's scoring, or that's assisting, whether that's taking on a player and having the cross. These are all moments. Your central midfielders and all these players that are having more of the ball, that's where you want, them to run the game. I think they expect Rashford to run the game from left wing, and I
And he's
think
never been
that's
that
the
guy.
thing.
He's not really been that guy anyway. So it's
Nah, it's not really. It's not really been that guy, man. He might get those games where he gets the ball more often than not, and he's able to create like various chances. But if you look at the way that the whole team's playing as a whole,
most of our
right?
team go through him anyway. When I think about it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, man. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't really get it.
I think we need to stop this thing bro. There's only the only people who have like consistently good general play week in week out is Messi and Neymar. That's the only two people, bro. That's the only. Mbappe, I watch PSG. Mbappe also plays sick every week. He does not. He does not. But what he does is drill. That's what he does. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to we can't expect in Ronaldinho. That's like Ronaldinho, prime Hazard type stuff from a wide player. And they're just in rarefied air. What Rashford is doing, he's consistently dangerous. And if you're consistently dangerous, then to me, you're consistently playing well. And you know what I mean? I feel like I've been a bit harsh and rashy there, Steve.
Cool.
Wasn't even like the other day, sorry, that
No.
all of the pundits were ranting and raving over Nunes running into channels, and they were saying that was a good performance, bro. Like we need to.
This is why we have to be objective and fair across the board, bro. Like, what constitutes a good performance for an attacker? Because I've seen games when man are just running channels, as you said, and man are rating that. But on the weekend we saw Rashford run in between two people, get off a shot, score a goal like he was a constant threat. So I think you just got to be fair and think, okay, what's Rashford's role in the team? What do you expect from a player of his role? He's not a touchline winger maybe like a Saka or a Mahrez, where he's hanging out wide, or ASM or Zaha, where he's hanging out wide and consistently trying to dribble past people consistently. Rashford is more, he can do that, but he's more of a goal threat, and you've got to analyze him on that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
And last point, especially if he's not getting the ball, mishitting shots, mishitting crosses, balls bouncing off his shins, or he's not touched the ball he's getting 6 touches, then I can hear that. But if he's not, then I feel like we've got to be a bit more fair on Rashi.
Bit leading, especially someone that's dragging us through the season to a large extent. Anyway,
big facts.
A couple more, then we'll go for this next one. The common consensus seems to be that Erik ten Hag has turned things around relatively quickly. But what, if anything, do you think he's got wrong so far? Disu, I'm gonna throw that one to you, bro.
I think really just maybe just player, not personnel. What I'm looking for. What's the word I'm looking for? He's tasting players, should I say? And really and truly, I was talking to shout out Meads from Chassis Hour, he's a big fan of ETH, and he was telling me, I told you, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, he's doing his thing. Now saying the only thing I don't really like is his player taste. But then he was like, But what manager has good player taste? He said that's not their job. Like it should be for your director of football, and there should just be the coaches. And I said, you know what? That's fair. The burden of player selection shouldn't really be on it. Obviously, there needs to be some level of cooperation between the technical director, director of football, whoever's making these decisions, like getting players that he'll actually use. But yeah, I think maybe just the lack of creativity or diversity, and he kind of seems like he's focused on that Dutch scene. You know what I'm saying? Like, not every day go to Amsterdam and go to weekends. Like sometimes Santorini, do you know what I mean? Sometimes, do you know what I mean? DLT Malta, sometimes Dubai. Do you know what I'm saying? Like diversify your portfolio, you feel me? But outside that, outside that, I can't lie, like ETH, he's doing his thing, and him, Pam and Maguire, Ronaldo, he's got like unlimited credit in the bank for me. So yeah, man.
Yeah, the rumors are even McTom might be on the way out. Interesting. So
if he gets McTom out, voila, I'll never slander him again. Never ever again.
Cool. Let's have a look. That's such a silly question. That is such a silly question.
What you want to ask Seb the same question? No.
Oh, well, to be fair, good point. That's poor hosting for me. Sebi.
That's fine. No, I think this is pretty much covered it. Yeah, poor ID. I think, made a couple of mistakes at the start of the season, which ultimately, I won't say cost us, but we would be a lot closer to the top. But I get it. You have to do that. You have to basically see if it's the players, your ability, what's going on here. And the first 2 games, the players let him down, and he never went back. So I think you can actually. If I think that's probably more positive.
I'll never forget. Do you know the Brentford game? The pass DDG gave to Ericsson, I'll never forget.
It was insane. DDG is crazy. DDG is crazy. DDG. Do you know one thing I like what Ten Hag's doing though? Yeah, is Ten Hag is great at installing confidence in people he's gonna bin. Like he's gonna bin Martial. He's gonna bin.
For real.
Yeah, and people ask him about these players. Say, yeah, like top player, one of the best players. I know he can't wait to bin De Gea, bro. Like he cannot wait to bin De Gea.
He's a real politician, isn't he?
Yeah, man. I like that aspect of him. Whereas like Ralph was just like, yeah, man, this man is shit. And we were losing every game, bro. But he couldn't understand why, because he's calling everyone shit.
Ralph was saying we need 10 players,
10 new players,
while having like 15 games left in the CIE.
That's crazy, bro. Man packed in the season, 15 games in, 15 games left.
Oh man, yeah.
All right, cool. We got 2 more questions I'll go for. This is open to whoever wants to take it really and truly, from Baitface Nate. It seems Elijah has got his dying wish for Bruno to occupy the right wing more often. Could you ask him or any like-minded individuals, that's if you guys are, if they think the plan to play Bruno out wide has worked when it has been used?
I think it worked once, right? It worked for the Nottingham Forest game, but that was a very different game. It was a very different game because the game was gone for Nottingham Forest, and it wasn't as intense as it was. It wasn't as intense as like the start of a game and playing right wing. Is very different, playing it later on when the team's totally beat. However, what I will say is there might be some credence into it when you're playing like a game where, let's say you're playing like some of the big teams and you want like all of your best players on the pitch. That's a way that you shoehorn all of your best players on the pitch. Bruno also has, I think, can't remember what game it was, it might have been the City game, I can't remember, or Arsenal, one of the big games he played on the right where he was doing a lot of work, and he also has the opportunity to come into midfield. And that's another thing, is if Ten Hag can get, and I think this is obviously something that he's going to have to work on, and it could really work. But if he starts Sancho and Bruno, as well as the rotation between the wide players, so let's say Rashford and Sancho rotating or whatever, you also have a rotation between Bruno and Sancho, which I think is great, like tactically, when you're trying to be flexible, as well as, like, funny enough, Sabitzer and Casemiro, whereas they both can play each other's positions. And I think when you have that in a team, you become less predictable. So, yeah, I'm interested to see it, how it could work in a big game, but also with Jadon Sancho, and I'll have like more of a better answer to see if it works or not.
Yeah, definitely agree with your point about the flexibility of from an attacking perspective, but as well as defensively. I think in the City first half game, I think Anthony was on the bench and Bruno sort of played not necessarily on the right, but he was very much that was maybe his starting position, but was coming inside off the ball to help us overload defensively and helping us to sort of press in the second third of the field. So let's see how that turns out. Disu, any thoughts before we move on to the last question?
No, not for me, bro.
Cool. Last question then, probably a common question, but who would you guys like to see as our 9 signing in the summer? So our striker signing, who and why? Disu first.
Say that again.
The question was, who would you like United to sign as their number 9 this summer and why?
Oh, I think my uneducated opinion, because I haven't watched him closely, is Osherman, because the PMP is outrageous. The PMP is outrageous, bro. It's outrageous. And the thought of him and Rashford in the same team is absolute dynamite. So, yeah, I think I'll give the edge to Osherman over Harry Kane. Just the edge, but I'll be happy with either.
Sebi?
Mine will be Harry Kane, just because I think Harry Kane makes everybody around him better. I look at Osherman and I like I've been watching him, especially when they come up on BT Sports, and every time they're on BT Sports, this guy scores, right? And the PMP is super peak, and this is not me, doubting him as a player or disrespecting him as a player, but I think he's got an amazing skill set and he's an out and out number 9, not a playmaker number 9. He's an out and out number 9, which means that most of the attacking threat has to go through him, which means that on the wide right and left, you need more facilitators rather than, like, let's say like a Rashford, the individual who actually is his own attacking threat. You need like somebody who's gonna more facilitate for Osherman. You need Bruno to be a bit more consistent with his passing, but I think the link up play
Anthony as well. You'd need an upgrade on Anthony if you're gonna.
Yeah, you need an upgrade of Anthony, and I think the link up play kind of lacks. Yeah, with Osherman, but he is good. He's gonna give defenders in the Premier League a very tough day. I just gotta see that it can work. It just needs a lot of work. Ten Hag's the coach, but I think that specifically needs a lot of work. However, if you bring Harry Kane, there's no work needed, in my opinion. I feel like the way how Ten Hag wants to play is the way how Harry Kane does play. Rashford can play exactly the same. Sancho and Anthony can play exactly the same. Bruno can play exactly the same. It's like basically when we're playing with Martial, but you're playing with Harry Kane. Basically, long story short,
yeah.
It's like a major upgrade. So it's difficult, isn't it? You've got the 29-year-old versus the 22, 23-year-old, and they both have different skill sets. I just feel like if you have an Osherman, we play like how City are playing with Haaland, and I just don't think that's going to work for us. I feel like Osherman would be great for Chelsea or something like that, and I feel like we'd be great with Harry Kane.
Cool. Boys, I have one more and I'll let you crack on with your evenings. Just a quick one. Obviously, the news on City today came out. And it's just a quick question. What are your thoughts on what should happen to City based upon what you know so far, if you have any thoughts?
Man, I need them to throw the book at City, man. I need my
Prems. I need a whole library to fall on their head. Lava for them. That's what I need,
real
bro.
talk, man. Real talk.
Hey, I want all their chains
punishment.
snatched.
All of their chains. I need all their chains snatched, man. Hey, listen, man. I need those prems. I need them to drop. I need them to be deducted points. I don't really care about the fine thing because they've got the bread, so fuck the fine. But the prems and points reduction would be perfect for me. I don't really want them relegated because I want them to suffer. Like I want them to be in the league and suffer. Like see everybody shining or whatever while they're languishing in 10th or something like that after their points reduction. So yeah, man, I'd man, the prems and the points deduction would be and the transfer ban as well, man. I don't want you to upgrade. I need to see if Pep can really coach.
No, I feel like I'm not really a big fan of the whole FFP laws, whatever. but the rules are the rules, innit? And City broke the rules. So not even they didn't just break them, they were so flagrant with it that it's actually disrespectful how fraudulent City have been with what they did. So I think they need a hefty punishment, because what they've done is gained a massive comparative advantage over everybody in the Premier League. Humongous advantage. Like, it's ridiculous. Bro, how are City posting bigger commercial revenue gains than Man United? They didn't even want to lie with finesse. They just said, "F it, we're just gonna." They'll just do no the GTA money sheet. That's what they were doing every single year. So I need all titles removed, a substantial points reduction, transfer ban for sure. It should be banned from Europe for a minute, and also I do want the fine only if that fine is going to be put into the pot to give to like the grassroots teams. Like, you know, like certain clubs are like in the mud. Let that fraudulent money go, and you know what I mean. Go save some people. Do you know what I'm saying? But outside, yeah, they need to be. You can't cheat this badly and get punished.
It's so flagrant,
Yeah,
man.
because when you think about it, look, when you think about it, before you go, guys, yeah, think about how close, even though they're my mortal ops, yeah, I have to be objective, bro. Think about how close Liverpool were to a couple titles, bro. And the difference in that could be like,
crazy.
bro, like Liverpool be 8 points clear. The City will go on a 15-game run because they got like 2 first 11s. Like, no.
Yeah,
I want their chains snatched, cuz
that was horrible. And then also, like, when you like really think about it as well, yeah, is the Prem has to do something, because if the Prem doesn't do anything, it sets precedent. Because this is obviously probably in our lifetime, maybe like the most fucked thing that a club has done, right? So the Prem has to actually come down strong. Now the Prem doesn't seem.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, the Premiership, the FA, and all of that, they don't seem to be like a ruthless organization, which is going to be interesting. I want to see like what happens, because from the outside looking in, they look a bit soft, and maybe, I don't know, they don't want to warn off potential investors, because it seems that right now it's a money league and whatever. But if they don't do this, then for me, it just gives anybody free. It gives Newcastle free reign, right? Newcastle be like, all right, cool. If you man are not, because Newcastle seems to be doing sensible right now. So I'm trying to say. So, but if City, if City are allowed to get away with what they get away with, then Newcastle can just turn around tomorrow and say, all right, cool. We're now sponsored by Qatari Airways that the family owns, and we're sponsored by Qatari Mobiles. They've given us $1 billion. Let's ride. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So like, yeah, bro, we definitely need to. They definitely need to like really put their foot down on this one, and like a big like warning for like the rest of the Premiership.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't think this one is going to be a short-term thing. I think it's going to blow over and go over for a very long time. But that's not our problem. That's their problem. So let's hope United can pick up a victory against Leeds during the week and push on for maybe a top 3, maybe even a top 2 finish. Who knows? Dishu and Sebi, thank you for joining us today. And that's peace, lads.
Peace.
Nice
one.
A bit, boys.
Nice one.
Nice.